Good afternoon, happy stampers, and welcome to my happy stamping studio. My name is Judi Anderson, and I'm an independent demonstrator in the United States. I welcome you to my studio and this class. Whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, sorry, if you're watching live, please say hello so I know you're here. I need to make sure I am on. So while I am talking, I will be looking to see if I'm on live. If you're watching on Facebook, give a shout out, say hello. Make sure you give StreamYard permission to post your comments while I am online. And in the meantime, if you are on YouTube, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and you can comment there also. And I do respond to all comments at a later time after I get off and once I'm able to. If you're watching on replay, please say hi and mark replay and let me know that you're watching. Also, the best compliment you can give me is to share this video and give me the thumbs up and hearts along the way. You know, you want to share so that your friends learn some fun stuff too. And I am not seeing myself live, so give me just a second here. Let's see. Okay. Okay, I am on, so let me move my phone over. So, the whole purpose of Back to the Basics is learning new stuff gradually. We started out with paper cutting. We learned about the different types of inks and the markers and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm kind of stepping it up today for you guys. We are going to be using some basic tools, stamps, inks, and papers. But I am going to teach you a fun fold today. And it is a super easy fun fold. And I am going to be cutting all the paper in front of you. So that's a little bit different. I am also mixing up products from different suites, from the celebration, and stamps that you probably wouldn't think of using with the paper I'm using today. If you want to see another project, make sure you look up my live from yesterday. Whether you're on YouTube, it should be on there. I can't remember the title of it, but it is using the Rings of Love paper, and we changed one of the papers from looking like a summer scene to a fall scene. And I still think that that was back to the basics because I only used stamps, inks, paper, and I did use one die, but I used a punch, which is still part of basics in the toolbox for stamping. And you wouldn't have to use the dies. You could have hand cut a couple pieces, well, one of the pieces without a problem. So what do you say? Let's get started today. Okay, I am super close to my surface so that you can see what I am doing. Okay, so the first product we're going to be using, it comes from page 12 of our annual catalog, and that is the Tea Boutique cards and envelopes. And these are pre-cut and scored cards, and it comes with a coordinating envelope. Now you may think, ooh, Judi, I don't know how you're going to coordinate that envelope because the envelope doesn't have all the colors that we're going to be using from the Rings of Nature, or Rings of Love. Sorry, I keep messing that up. The name is very close to an older DSP, a retired DSP that we have. But here you see one of the card bases that we're going to be using today, and it is scored in half at 4 1/4. And what makes this nice is it does have white. And so all that work's done with you for you. And the envelopes are simply adorable. I love the floral on them, and they come in the different colors that coordinates with the DSP. But like I said, we're going to be using the Rings of Love. So that's on page 12 of the annual catalog. Then if we flip over to page 59, we're going to find the Eden's Garden stamp set. Now this stamp set is a gorgeous stamp set. I use it for this image actually for some backgrounds, which we're going to be using it today. But it has some wonderful sentiments on here for friends, sending hugs, celebrating, hello there. So this could be used for a variety of different occasions. Okay, let's get to the Rings of Love Designer Series paper. This you can earn for free while quantities last through the end of August. And this is found in our celebration catalog on page 7. And we used this one here with the houses yesterday. And I am just loving this paper. I keep telling you guys that with every project I make with it, but I really do love it. And this is the pattern that we're going to be using today. And you're going to think, well, Judy, you told us yesterday colors that coordinate with this were the crushed curry, the evening evergreen, which this has in it, the mint macaron, which is the background, night of navy, which is this blue in here. It's variant colors of the night of navy, the parakeet party, which we don't have, petal pink, poppy parade, and soft suede. None of those other colors are in this. It's primarily the night of navy and mint macaron. Okay, but I want to show you something. When I took this paper and put it against this card base, voila, look at how it coordinates. This has got a little bit more purple, but the night of navy, as they variegated the color, kind of has a purplish tone to it. And it's got, you know, in this motif, it's kind of faded or kind of a vintage look, but not really vintage. And this has got that faded out look too. So I thought, hey, I'm using this. So our card base, we have a piece of basic white that we're going to be cutting up. And then we have our mint macaron that we're going to be using along with this. So let's start with our card base. Normally, we would fold this so that this is the front of the card, but we're not doing that today. This is going to be the inside of the card. So we are going to fold it opposite and take our bone folder and score that. Okay, so that's going to be our card front. So knowing that, I'm going to get my paper trimmer out. And with my paper trimmer, I want to move my cutting blade up, which is the dark gray cutting blade. And on the front, okay, this is 4 1/4. So I want to figure that in half. So 4 1/4 would be 2 1/8. So a 2 1/8 is 2 inches plus 2 little lines there. That's the 2 1/8 mark. So I want to score that. So I'm just going to take my scoring blade and score that. Okay, so we're going to have one section that is 4 1/4 and 2 sections that are 2 1/8. So we're going to fold that down, and then the mountain in the middle, we're going to fold that back and score that. Can you guys guess what kind of a card this is? Let me know if you can guess what kind of a card this is going to be. So now I want to cut my next piece, and that is going to be my mint macaron. And what I want to do is I want to make a strip for along the bottom. Now this strip you can make at any width that you want, okay? With that being said, we need it to be, because our width of this, so these measurements are going to be for this card, okay? If you're doing it this way. There's a couple different ways of doing it, but we are going to be doing it in this direction. So I need my piece the same width as my card, okay? So that's important. Your piece needs to be the same, or I should say length, the length of the card, but the width can be whatever you want. So I am going to make this at 1 and, oh, I don't know if I want 1 1/2 or 1 1/4. I think 1 1/2, I'm going to do 1 1/4. So 1 1/4 is 1 inch and then 4 little tick marks, or the first biggest line. Okay, so I'm going to put that down, and we're going to cut that. Okay, so next I want to flip this. Okay, and my next score line is going to be 4 1/4. Okay, because I want it the same width as the front. Okay, I know it's only 2 1/8, but you'll stay with me. You want it that same width. So it's 4 1/4. So once again, we're going to move our cutting blade out of the way, and we are going to score it at 4 1/4. Okay, now I want to, whatever my width is here, I want to cut that in half. Or I don't want to cut it. Sorry. I want to figure out the half, which is 2 1/8. So I am going to take this, and because just to make it easier for you, this is the front piece. This is the inside piece. It's actually even. I'm going to flip it just to make it easier for you to do. So this is 2 1/8. So we're going to take that, and I'm going to score it at 2 1/8. Okay? So we have that piece. Now I want to take and make some pieces for the front here. And what I want, you can, I'm going to do designer series paper, but you can also do orchid opulence, or I keep saying opulence. Orchid Oasis is actually, you know, the funny thing is, in my scrap bin, I marked it Orchid Opulence. And that is an old retired color. I could do some mattes, that color. So what I want you to decide right now, do we want to do some mattes on here, or do we want to leave it like this? Now I'm going to kind of give you an idea. Okay, because we're going to be putting this on it. So which do you think you want? The Orchid Opulence, or Orchid Oasis. Oh my gosh. You know what? To learn that name, I should start giving you guys prizes every time I say it wrong. What do you say? So, which do you like? Do you like it blending into the back? This is going to be going across the bottom. Or do you want to tie it into here? Okay. So I'll give you a minute to comment. We need to figure out, this is 2 1/8. So I want to do 2 pieces. I want a piece for here and a piece for here. And I'm listening. Okay, Orchid Oasis it is. Okay, so my Orchid Oasis, since that's 2 1/8, I actually want to make it 2 inches wide. So I don't have quite enough here for that. So let me grab another piece. Hopefully this is long enough. Oh, it is. Awesome. Okay, so I want to do this piece at 2 inches. So I'm going to cut 2 inches off. I just want it slightly smaller. I want an 1/8 smaller. The length of our card is 5 1/2. So I'm going to go to 5 3/8. Okay, so I need, gosh, I pulled a scrap out and it's perfect length. I can't believe that. So I'm going to go cut this one at 2 inches. Okay, so we have those 2 pieces. So we know that that's 2 inches. So I want to take my designer series paper and I want to cut it at 2 or 1 and, oh, it's going to be a 16. So you're going to go to 1 3/4 and 1 tick mark. Okay, I'm kind of making this, maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe we'll just do a slim border. We'll go to 1 7/8. Just make it easier for you. And we're going to cut that. So the 1 7/8 piece is going to be fitting onto here with a very slight border. So we're going to turn it, and I want to cut this at an eighth smaller. So we're going to go to 5.5, and we went to 4 7/8. So we're going to go to 4 3/4. 2 pieces at 4 3/4. And I want to kind of have the same pattern. So if I'm doing this, I want to make sure I cut this. If this wasn't a whole one, I'd probably flip it. So we're going to go to 4 3/4. It doesn't have to be uniform, but look at how that kind of works out. Oh my gosh, I just cut that wrong. Didn't I? I sure did. I wanted to cut that at 5 inches and something. So I'm going to have to use this piece, which I think will still want to do that at 5.5 less an eighth. I want to do it at 5 1/4. Oh my gosh. At 5 1/4. Okay, and then I want to cut this so that it is, I want to make sure, 1 7/8 wide. I'm going to cut from this side. Don't worry, I have scraps. I will use those. Okay, so we're going to mount these on to these. Perfect. Okay, so we have that. So now what we need to do is we need to cut some pieces for these. And I am just going to leave the green here because we're going to be doing another green, another mint macaron mat. So I'm going to cut this 4 by 1. Okay, so here's those pieces. So I need to cut a 1-inch piece. Go ahead and cut that. And now I need this 4 inches. So I'm going to cut that there. So this piece is going to go right here. Okay, now I need some pieces for these. And we have 1 by 2 1/8. And so I need a 1-inch piece. And I can cut from either side, just decide which pattern, which part of the pattern you want. So we've got a 1-inch piece. And those were 2 1/8. We want to go a quarter shorter. So we're going 1 7/8. Okay, as you can tell, it doesn't really matter which section I used. Okay, so now I have all these little pieces that I'll be able to use on another card. Okay, so let's start putting this all together so you don't get too confused, and then we will cut our next card stack. Okay, so like I said, we have these. So I want this on here. So let me take my stamp and seal. I'm just going to put some on here. You can use the multi-purpose glue also. I'm going to put this to this side because we're going to end up putting a sentiment on this part. And then just decide which section you want for the next section. I'm going to do this one here because it kind of matches there. Just visually look, center it, and place it. And then we're going to put this piece on the end. Let's stick that right there. Okay, let's get these pieces on. So we're going to assemble the card up to this point because it is really the fold and the designer series paper, which I'm highlighting with you guys today, and how to do things just by cutting your paper. Now remember, these are very small borders. We could have done a small border of Orchid Oasis here also. So let's get this on here. Okay. and line this up. Okay, so we're going to have our card. So place these pieces kind of where you think you want them. Do you want them that way? Do we want them this way? Now, I personally would not do it this way because these don't match. If these matched, we could do that. We could do it this way. Okay, so this is going to be covered up quite a bit. I think I want that piece like that. Oh, there we go. So let's get this one, and we're going to center it in between those score lines. And it's going to be a very small sliver of basic white around the edge. My tape is giving me some issues today. Let's get some on there. It's folded over and I don't have time to fix it right now, so we'll just work with what we have. Okay, let's get that on there. Okay, next piece we're going to put on is this one. And you can see why I wanted the mint macaron on here. I did want to be able to see it. So this we're going to fold back and up. Okay, so it's going to go on here. It's going to lay flat along the bottom. The two areas we need to adhere is this one here and this one here. So what I do is on this piece, I go ahead and put my adhesive on. And you want to make sure you have quite a bit of adhesive. And I wouldn't tape on your project like I am doing. I shouldn't be doing that. Okay, and then you want to rub that. You always want to rub your adhesive. Okay, so now, like I said, I want this piece to be adhered onto this panel. So I'm going to turn this, and instead of putting the adhesive on my strip, I'm actually going to put it onto my panel, and I know I can go up 1 inch. So I'm using my grid. You can use your grid paper, making sure that I have enough adhesive on there, and just place it flat and give it a rub. Now you want to use good adhesive, so I recommend our Stamp and Seal or our Stamp and Seal Plus or our all-purpose adhesive. Okay, so what's going to happen is we're going to fold this, and it's a double Z. So we have a Z here and a Z here. And look how that coordinates with that base. And it's decorative there instead of being white in the background. So we need to add some of the fresh freesia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to my Stampin' Blend. You can use your Stampin' Right marker for this, but I am just going to go around and add some dots. I think I'm going to use the dark on here. I think we need the dark. Okay, so I'm just going to scatter some dots wherever, just to get some color in here. Okay, do the same thing down here. So we're going to add just a little bit of that color. And it doesn't have to be a lot. There we go. Don't forget to open up that panel. And we want to add some color up here. Like I said, really, oops, I have a little bit of adhesive right there. Just use my finger to get it off. Right there. So we're just adding a little bit to this to bring in some of that color from the envelopes. Now, if you wanted, you could color these in, some of this in. So you could add some of that color to this. So what do you say? Oh, Katrina says yes, she wants me to do that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go for it. So I'm taking my Stampin' Blend and I'm just going to color in those parts. Okay, and the only reason I'm doing this is so that it matches my envelopes, remember. I'm just going around and going around the border first and coloring it in. Now, if you use your Stampin' Right markers, the color will be a little bit deeper. So I'm doing all of these plain areas in here. Okay, let's see down here. And look how that paper is changing already. Look at that. Look at the difference. So adding that color, once again, to your designer series paper, you're making your own custom paper. Let's just color it in. And you could color this as much or as little. Okay, let's see down here. These are smaller areas, so you won't be adding as much color. And we do have one panel that doesn't have any of the color on it. I'm going to go ahead and put some dots here. Let's put a couple here. Maybe one down there. Okay, and that just brings that color. Now look at the difference of that paper and see how it now is coordinating with our envelope. Okay, so let's do our sentiment and the front. So I'm going to do a panel, and I am going to choose to do 2 panels here. I am going to do my basic white. I want to do it let's do it, let me see, 2 inches. Now I want to do it 2 1/4. 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. Okay. Then our next piece will be a piece of mint macaron, and I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch larger. So I am going to go to 2 3/8 by 3 3/8. Okay, and then my next layer is going to be our orchid oasis. And I am going to have to pull a full sheet out. So I want to do this 2 1/2. So I'm going to go 2 1/2 by 8 1/2 because I will have that larger scrap, and then I'm going to go to 3 1/2 here. Okay, so for the inside mat, I'm going to do a mint macaron because we already have the base here. So I'm going to do this at 2 1/2. Let me see. This was 2 1/4. So 2 3/8 by 3 3/8. So I'm making it a smidge smaller by 3 3/8. And we're going to make another piece of basic white to measure 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. I should have just cut both of them at the same time today. Okay, so we have 2 pieces of basic white that measure 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. Then 2 pieces of mint macaron that measure 2 3/8 by 3 3/8. And then I have 1 piece of orchid oasis. See how I learned that name? Now that I have to give you some free stuff. And this one is 2 1/2 by 3 1/2. Now, remember, I said if you get these little edges on your paper, just take your bone folder and go along those edges. That's just from your cutting blade. My cutting blade's starting to get dull, and that's how I can tell. So I just want to smooth out all those edges and then we're going to do our stamping. Now, the colors I chose are the Mint Macaron and the Orchid Oasis to stamp today. And we're going to be stamping onto our basic white. Oh, this one I didn't get. Just get those down. I'm going to take a piece of graph paper, the one that I used yesterday, to make that mess on here. Oh, this one's just not flattening very good. There we go. Must not have been rubbing it right. Okay, so we're going to start with our front panel first. So I'm going to grab this, and I am going to do the hello there. I believe that will fit on here. So we're going to do the hello there. Just going to grab my block, and I am going to be stamping that in the Orchid Oasis. Just ink that up lightly, line that up on the bottom, even pressure. Okay, take my Stampin' Scrub and clean off my stamp. Now, I have chosen to use this larger image. Now, this is a distinctive stamp, and what that means is when you stamp it, it kind of looks like a photograph. So you don't want a lot of ink on here. You want to tap it lightly. I'm going to show you my, see how it's dark in some spots and it looks like it has no ink? It has ink. The stamp is going to color that, the ink, the stamp and the ink is going to be colored. Just hold that down. Look at that. So you've got your light and your dark. So it does the shading all by itself. Let's clean that off. And then I am going to put on the inside, I am going to put the sending hugs. We're going to do all this stamping. Just let that dry for just a second. So I'm going to do the sending hugs in the Orchid Oasis. Oh, are you guys proud of me? Oh, you know, sometimes bad habits are hard. I'm going to put this up a little bit because it's a small area to write in. So sending hugs, and then I am going to grab this little image right here. And I'm just going to stamp a couple of those, and as you can see, these are exclusive to Stampin' Up. They do have a patent on them. Okay, so now I feel that we still need to add some more Orchid Opulence to this because we added some to the Designer Series paper. So let's take our dark Stampin' Blend, and we are just going to add some little dots. So we'll do 3 spots there. Oh, I probably want a couple more. Let's do some up there. I think that's good. Oh, let's do some odd ones, kind of sporadically all over. Okay, on these, I'm actually going to just add a couple. Because now you could go over those other dots, those green ones, if you wanted. There we go. Oh, you know what? I grabbed my fresh freesia. Oh my gosh, that's why it's not looking dark. Okay, we're recoloring real quick here. Let me take my dark oh no, I wanted fresh freesia, sorry. We have those front. Oh my gosh, my mind, crazy. We're matching those flowers on the front. I almost panicked. It was like, what am I using that for? So I'm going to layer this on. Our front is this hello there. Just mount that on, and as you can see, we just have those little borders on there, just giving that hint of color. And this is going to go on the inside. Now, when we place this, I'm going to place the inside first. So I am going to place this on here. I don't want it to show when this card is opened, so I want this here, and we can do this right up here. We could lower it just a little bit. I can put it down here, and I'm going to move it over a little bit. So let's put, you always want to put the inside mat first, okay? And the reason being, okay, we're going to put this on here. I look at here to make sure I have at least half onto this panel, and I'm just going to go up a smidge. How much is a smidge? Oh, it's about a 32nd of an inch. Okay, we're going to fold this. Now, what we want to do here is we want to place this over so you don't see that inside. So I want to go height-wise here and here. So I want to take my adhesive, and I want to put my adhesive along that edge there, and then I'm going to take that front panel mat, and I'm going to put some adhesive right on there. I'm not putting adhesive on the bottom because I don't want to go out too far, and this is going to hold. You could put this on dimensionals. I'm going to line this up so it goes just beyond, okay, just a smidge beyond, and put this here, okay? Now, if you wanted to, we could embellish this. We could put on some pearls or some rhinestones. But here is a double Z-fold just using stamps, inks, and papers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this today. Do you have any questions? Let me know. Okay, I am not seeing any questions. Awesome. So, whoops. Okay, so if you have any questions, make sure you ask. Just make a comment, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. And I hope you learned the basics of a double Z-fold card. And don't forget, with a qualifying purchase, this Rings of Love Designer Series paper is free. So until we meet again, happy stamping, everybody.